down.
Good evening. The time is 6 p.m. and the meeting of the September 15th, 2025 regular school board meeting will now come to order. Will everyone please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? Hold on.
Color guard. Hold. Left. Face. Present. Colors. Present. Colors.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Carry. Colors. Order. Colors. 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 Sorry. Arch.
They're going to join us in a minute while they're putting their stuff away. Miss Irvin, can you do, oh, I'm sorry. Miss Irvin, can you do the roll, please?
Mr. McCutcheon?
Here.
Mr. Gliati?
Here.
Mr. Lane?
Here.
Mrs. Dalton? Here. Mrs. Cope?
Here.
Let's do section 4, adoption of the agenda. I'm looking for a motion to adopt the agenda as presented.
So moved.
Second?
Any questions or comments, corrections? Hearing none, Ms. Irvin?
Mr. Lane?
Yes.
Mrs. Dalton?
Yes.
Mr. McCutcheon?
Yes.
Mrs. Cope?
Yes.
Mr. Gliati?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Excellent. And our ROTC has joined us. Thank you for coming in tonight. If you could tell us your name, your rank, what year of school you're in, and when you get done with high school, what's your plans after, or what's your dream job, or just what are you thinking about for your future?
I'm Technical Sergeant Josiah Wilson. I'm a junior in high school, and what I want to do for my future is I want to be a mechanic in the Air Force.
Nice.
I'm Cadet Captain Henry Pizza. After school, I'm going to serve a 2-year mission trip and then go to college and hopefully become an aerospace engineer in the Air Force.
Hello, I'm Cadet Airman First Class Bryce Catal, and I'm a sophomore, and I want to become an aerospace engineer.
I'm Cadet Senior Airman Ismail Al-Batista. I'm a junior, and what I want to do is hopefully get into the Air Force Academy and go into cybersecurity for the Air Force.
Very nice.
I am Cadet Airman First Class Ethan Fear, and I'm currently undecided on my plans after high school.
All right. Thank you all very much for coming in, and good luck with everything, and we'll see you next month, right? Yeah, we're back on our normal schedule? All right, excellent, excellent, thank you.
Thanks for being here, guys. Yep, thank you.
I actually told Pizza that if he said he wanted to be superintendent, I'd make sure he was on the honor roll this quarter. Okay, moving on to section 5, communications reports. A is hearing of the public. No one has signed up to speak. Item B, student board member update. Ms. Berger, you have the floor.
Awesome. Well, I'll get started with our biggest event of September, our homecoming. The week itself was a super high energy week. I personally think one of the most fun homecoming weeks we have ever had. Our parade, senior student council joins with freshman student council, and then juniors with sophomores, and we have a huge float building competition. So we were really excited. My senior class is really excited that our float won our little competition, which I have pictures of later. We had our powder puff game, which was a senior win, so it was a big week for the seniors. We won 19-0 against the juniors, which was super fun, and we had a lot of people come out and support that, which was really cool to see. Our pep rally recap. So our pep rally is a huge part of homecoming week. It takes a lot of preparation, a lot of time goes into planning our pep rally. And as someone who's been on the pep rally committee for the last 4 years, this was our smoothest pep rally yet. And one thing we really struggle with is getting kids to participate in our games. We usually have 3 games per pep rally, and we struggle to have kids want to participate in those just because your peers are watching. But we were able to get a ton of kids to participate. All of our spots were filled. We even had some kids asking to participate in our next pep rally, which was really cool to see. All of our games were circus themed because that was the theme of our homecoming. And then our homecoming game that Friday, Warriors won against West Claremont 49-14, and then we announced court, and it was really cool to see our school all get together and cheer for our king and queen this year. Homecoming itself, we sold a little over 1,200 tickets out of our 1,600 students, which showed a high level of interest in homecoming, and one of our higher ticket sales we've sold. Oh my goodness. We've had in a while. And there were no issues behavior-wise for Lebanon students. So it was a pretty smooth week and really fun. A lot of high energy. Those are some pictures from our float building competition. This is what takes the most of student council's time during homecoming week. As we put these together, they're all tissue paper and palmed. I walked into the high seal to give to Mr. Auer as our little trophy for winning. And then for a high school general update, so this year we had a lot of new staff. We had new teachers, new assistant principals, and then our head principal switched to Mr. Brunk. And I had a conversation with him last week just about how things are going and the response to the new staff. And we think it's been a very positive response, seeing teachers in the hallway, supporting students, supporting each other. And his philosophy with this upcoming school year is to belong, behave, believe. Those are his 3 words. He believes you should belong to your community in order to behave correctly and then to believe in yourself, which is different from what it's been in the past where it's behave correctly to belong and then believe. But we've adopted the new belong, behave, believe, and I think it's working really well. And there's been a super positive response with that just in the atmosphere at the high school. And the last thing I wanted to give an update on was Drake Passage. So Drake Passage is a student-centered program designed to foster growth through connection, flexibility, and support. Through a flexible structure, meaningful relationships, and commitment to a learner's strengths, they create a place for students to thrive. So on the right are some pictures of the Drake Passage classroom, which is in our hallway right at the beginning of the school. And their goal for those students in the Drake Passage program is to build relationships and create a sense of belonging, just like it is with the teachers. And I've talked to Lauren Miller, Mr. Galloway, and Alyssa Hensey, who are the Dean of Students, the Drake Passage Facilitator, and Educational Assistant, and they've all seen very positive responses from the Drake Passage program, which is really encouraging to see. Students in the Drake Passage program are allowed to participate in any events, and they did come to homecoming and our game, which was really cool. Drake Passage is partnering with Jen Coleman's Career Experience class, so they're getting to hear speakers from the community and learning about different career opportunities after high school. And then my favorite parts was just the testimonies from Lauren Miller and Mr. Galloway. Mr. Galloway, seen in that picture, is teaching a student how to play ukulele on her break, just her brain break, and they for him to teach her how to play ukulele, and that was her highlight of the week. And then Lauren Miller talked about her rosebud thorn at their closing meeting each day. They have a rose, a bud, and a thorn. What went well, what didn't go well, what's a problem they could fix. And one of the students said one of her roses was getting to meet the other student in her class and build that connection. So there has been a really positive response from Drake Passage, and it's really encouraging to see that throughout our high school.
How many students are in that? Currently, I think there's 6 or 7, several in the morning, several in the afternoon. Mm-hmm. Originally, we populated the program with students that were outplaced previously at the alternative school. We had more than that last year at the alternative school, but through some graduations and then others just wasn't the right fit for them as the program was getting up and off the ground. And so They're in kind of several other places because of the needs of the student. So we know this program is going to grow. It's successful. I got an email today. We had our first student complete their first course, like semester of a course through the program today. So we're 3 weeks in, the kids going in, they work on small chunks, so we're not giving them 7 classes at a time to sit down and get lost with. We're trying to make it small, achievable things, and this student was able to get their first, course completed today, and so they're celebrating those milestones as they happen. But I think, originally, I think there were supposed to be 7, somewhere there's that, 6 or 7 students right now. They're broken up, morning students and afternoon, so the kids are there for a portion of the day. They have access to do the curriculum, kind of throughout the evening and stuff as well, but we anticipate that number will probably double, as we get into the school year and figure some things out. So,
Excellent. Caitlin, that was excellent. Thank you. C is our superintendent report, Mr. Severs.
Let me get my presentation up here. Couple things that you may or may not have seen this in the news today, but it's the time of year where school report cards come out in Ohio. Today was the day they were released. I want to start with just a brief update. I can dig in. We can pause on these first couple slides if you have questions or not. But as a result of our strategic plan, this is not. You let me know how much time you want to spend on the first couple slides. That, for those of you who couldn't hear me at home, sorry I didn't push my button. We've been doing, as a result of the strategic plan, a facility assessment, reviewing our current facilities. We all know that as we drive around, we're seeing homes being built and feel like they're popping up every day in certain neighborhoods. And so as a result of the facility assessment, we redid our enrollment study. This was some information that was taken back, and just, we feel like there's growth happening, but what we're gonna share here in the first couple slides is like, it hasn't happened yet. So if you go back to 2022, the number of building permits issued in our school district was 54. The last 2 years, 11 and 8. So building slowed down the last several years in terms of homes being built in our community. In the first 6 months of this calendar year, we've had 15 building permits pulled already. That probably doesn't even count for the ones that we keep seeing growing across the street from Bowman, seemingly out of the ground every day, because those have happened within the last couple of months. So it's starting to pick back up again. You can see the Warren County numbers. We've seen a dip across Warren County. The one thing that I think is interesting on the right side of that is the multifamily dwellings. In Warren County, in the first 6 months, 186 building permits have been pulled, 160 of them in our school district. I don't know the meaning of that number, to be honest with you. I'm not sure if every individual apartment at the new apartments being built behind Walmart gets its own building permit, or if that is one for that whole apartment complex. I don't know the number of that. This is data that's coming from the building permit office in Warren County. As you can see, we've slowed on building single-family homes, but we've increased in the last 2 years in building multi-family dwellings in our school district. So one could assume that's going to have an impact. I was told by the city of Lebanon, we should expect to see students living in the apartments behind Walmart during this school year. They're going to be close to finishing up and having occupants soon. So we'll start to see the impact of that, I believe. This is from the enrollment study. We're in the far right-hand column right now. As school started, and we were 2 weeks into school when we pulled these numbers, 5,120. That's up slightly from where we were last year at the beginning of school. It's worth noting, at the end of school last year, we finished school with 5,380-something students. So we grow throughout the year a little bit, but from the end of last year, 5,380, to the beginning of this year, 5,120, our enrollment is slightly down from last year, even though, based off of August numbers, we're up a little bit. You can go back and see the historical data going back to the left. So our enrollment stayed pretty stable, actually gone down a little bit since 2021. 2021, 2022, and those years, 4 and 5 years back. The significant change, again, I will send this to all of you. The significant change right now we are experiencing is at Bowman Primary School. If you look at Bowman Primary School, kindergarten, second row down, far right, upper right-hand corner, this year we have 288 kindergartners. Last year there were 324 going back, so we're usually in that 320 to 330 range. What we see, it's been an impact for us, typically has been, when I first came here, we were increasing to first grade by about 50 to 60. So kids would start kindergarten elsewhere, and we would see a bump of about 50 or 60 students. Right now, we're seeing fewer kids enroll in kindergarten and seeing fewer kids come to us in first grade. I think when I'm asked what the impact to Lebanon City Schools is of voucher expansion in Ohio, where we are seeing voucher expansion impact enrollment, I believe is at the earlier grades more so than across the board in upper grades. One of the things I would say is we do not offer all-day, everyday kindergarten in our school district. So families are looking for all-day kindergarten elsewhere. We have options in our community or around us that offer that. If they're able to qualify for a voucher to take that, what we're beginning to see is students and families, and we'll talk about in the next slide, keep that voucher and stay there longer than what they have done in the past. Just some information for us to consider as a district. These are some numbers that I was absolutely floored by, but it gives us a picture of sort of Lebanon in general is bigger, even though our enrollment is not up. We have 417 students that are homeschooled. It's down 40 from last year, but if you go back to when COVID began and we saw a huge increase, 294 at the beginning of COVID, that 2021, the second year of the COVID, pandemic, we went from 294 to 391, and it steadily increased since then. Those families are homeschooling, and we have documentation of those and paperwork for that. At voucher expansion or scholarships, so beginning in 2023, the 23-24 school year, and then the 24-25 school year was when vouchers expanded in Ohio. 674 of Ed Choice expansion. What Ed Choice expansion is it removes the qualification that the school had to be failing in order for students to qualify. So the expansion is now available to anybody based off of finance district, home income. I have 708 there in parentheses because 34 Ed Choice vouchers. The Ed Choice voucher was the program that a group of our people qualified for if they attended Donovan in the years in which Donovan fell below the reading proficiency scores for several years. We qualified for Ed Choice vouchers. Once you get it, you never lose it. So those families have chosen to stay on the Ed Choice voucher if they would have been in Donovan at that period of time. Once you qualify for a voucher based off of a low-performing school, then you can stay on the voucher throughout. Autism scholarships and John Peterson scholarships obviously are special education things that come through the same system. I did not include them in the 708 number of vouchers. You can see there just kind of how vouchers have expanded from the year before Ed Choice expansion happened, 118 to 138, and then we had 60 new applicants. We didn't lose 560 students in 23, 24, but from 138 to 633, when you look at the numbers, there's like 562 new for vouchers that year, which tells us the majority of those people that are taking vouchers in were already prior to the. That's what those numbers indicate when we look at the number of families or students taking vouchers. Last school year, we went to 708 vouchers. We don't have the numbers for this school year yet, but I would assume that number is going to continue to grow. You see some of the breakdown there, going back to the previous slide in terms of enrollment impact. 70 kids in kindergarten on a voucher, 72 in first grade. This is last year's numbers. 64, 65, 66 in second through fourth grade. So we start to see some of them decrease. I think those numbers will go up because first grade was the first year that those kids could go get it as a kindergartner and stay. Typically, as a district, we see kids transition back to the school district from private schools somewhere in the neighborhood of fifth through eighth grade. And then, as you see on the far right there, 33 to 41, depending on the grade, that was the range. It's not as common for high school kids to take the voucher and not go to Lebanon High School. That's also one of the reasons that our Lebanon High School enrollment is up slightly compared to the other buildings, going back to the last slide on enrollment. I just share this with you to make you aware. I wanted to look at enrollment. I wanted to make you aware we're having some of these discussions. We as an administration are looking at, as enrollment goes down in certain buildings, do we adjust our staffing to make sure things are appropriate? And we did some of that this year. We have one fewer section at second grade, and we have half section fewer at kindergarten this year. And our numbers dictated that we could do that. So we'll continue to look at that. Has really not a whole lot to do with academic performance, but it does have a lot to do with the academic offerings that we can give to our students and the numbers of things. So we're gonna have some discussion, I think, over the next couple of months administratively and maybe with the board about, do we offer, what do we want to approach some of these kids in an effort to get them back into our schools? How do we handle that? So I just thought it was worth sharing some of those enrollment figures. Again, I'll give it to you as you at the end of the night. You're going to see that our school district is going to be an overall 4-star rating this year, 4 out of 5 stars. And we'll touch base on a little bit of why that is. Achievement, we were 4 stars last year. That's why the equal sign is there. Progress, we were 4 stars last year. That's why the equal sign was there. Gap closing, last year, we were 4 stars. We're now up to 5 stars in that category. Graduation rate, 5 stars last year and this year. Early literacy, 5 stars last year, or 3 stars last year and this year. The bottom right-hand corner is a new component, and I'm going to dig into that in a few minutes. It's worth noting that in Warren County, 3 other schools were 2 stars. A couple of them were 3 stars. This was not a component that schools were highly rated in for the most part across the county and across the state, and we'll talk a little bit about that. That's the impact from us being a 4.5 star last year to us being a 4 star this year. We'll talk a little bit about that. You can see here, this is just one way we looked at it. The college and career workforce, we'll dig into a little bit more. It's just another way of looking at the stars. For those of you who care about mathematics, if you have a certain number of points, then you multiply it by the weights. You'll see that achievement and progress are the 2 highest weights in terms of 0.25% of the overall total. We were 3.469, which put us kind of square in the middle there of 4 stars. We would have had to have been at 3.624 to get it to a 4.5 star. Achievement, again, we were 4 stars last year, and again this year, a couple things to celebrate. Our performance index went up. It went up from 91.028 to 92.37. And so what does that mean? That means that not only do we have kids passing the test, that we had some students pass it at a higher rate this year. And so the proficiency levels, limited, basic proficient is the area we want to be in. 23.2% of our kids were proficient. 23.5 is accomplished, so we get more points as we are accomplished and advanced. Advanced plus is only possible if the students are accelerated. So think of a 5th grade student taking 6th grade math, and they have to take the test and score advanced. So acceleration of grade levels is what allows you to be an advanced plus. So 7th grade kid taking Algebra 1, if they take the Algebra 1 test, then they have the ability to get advanced. That helps us for more points. Right, so 22, 23 and a half 30.3, so 53.8% of our students scored above proficient. And that's why we were in that 4-star category. So we're working to get kids into the accomplished and advanced category while also trying to get everybody at least into proficient. So we're seeing that top number shrink. We're seeing the top number shrink of basic and limited, and we're seeing those bottom numbers increase, which is a good thing, and that's helpful for us. I covered some of this on day one, but we saw some increases across the board. You take our passage rate was up 22.5%. On proficiency. We saw increases in 4 buildings on our performance index. So not only were kids passing the test, they're passing at a higher rate. It was one of our highest significant jump at Lebanon High School last year, and that's one of our highest, if not the highest, performance index score we've ever had in the building. So they did some really good work there. Graduation rate, 5 stars. Our 4-year was 96.4, our 5-year is 97.8. So just remember that college and career readiness was a 2-star. Doesn't matter if we graduate college. We have to check some specific, or graduate high school. We have to check some specific boxes. So we got kids across the finish line at a really good rate in terms of graduation. But in addition to that, that's the college and career readiness thing that we'll talk about in a second. So the similar districts saw a dip in graduation rate. There in that top bar, we saw a little bit of an increase from 95.8 to 96.4. So again, good work there. Gap closing, 5 stars. Gap closing is it's a whole big conglomeration of things, but chronic absenteeism was one of the focus points for us last year. It improved. We had fewer kids that were chronically absent. That helped us. Our English language learners, we earned 5 of 5 points for our English language learners in this category. Was one of our areas of largest growth, actually, in terms of closing the gaps on that achievement gap. We've invested in that because our numbers in that have increased. We bought some new curriculum for that, and we're seeing the fruit of that come to fruition. And so it's a great thing for those students. So that's one of the areas why we improved in gap closing. Gifted students are a part of gap closing. We saw an increase again in our gifted students, and we need to continue to see them achieve at that advanced, at least advanced level. So, my challenge to Mr. Grayler and then to the people that are working in these areas is we should never have a gifted student that doesn't pass the test or scores proficient. If they're a gifted student, we need to make sure we're pushing them to be at least at accomplished or above. And you'll see we have a percentage of our kids there that were still tested at proficient, so we've got to work on that. Chronic absenteeism, again, it decreased. Early literacy, 3 stars. One of the things we've talked about here before is this is one test on one day. So 3rd grade reading test, passage rate up there on the proficiency rate, 62.4% of our students were proficient on the 1 day, 1 test that we give them. There are other ways to qualify them as proficient in reading beyond the 1 day, 1 test, and we use AIMSweb. And you've all seen the triangles, and we're trying to shrink the number of kids that are off track. And so we're working to improve the kids. But one of the things that we still need to work on is lowering this improving literacy percentage. And so we've got to figure out how to decrease that summer slide. Kids take the test at the beginning of the school year within the first 10 or 15 days. And, if they're not on track, that dings us because they weren't on track last year and they're still not on track now, even though they may be on track within a month. Right, but that summer slide is real for this students in this population. So those are things we continue to look at. Again, these are the actual numbers, actual cones from AIMSweb. In the fall, the number of students that were at high risk of being behind, you see there in the red cone at the top. By the end, we've been able to shrink that cone and get our kids at low risk. And so you can visually see that in all of these grades, in all of these sections, we're shrinking that red and yellow and increasing the green. that's another way that we can qualify students to be reading at grade level by the end of the year and get them through third grade. It doesn't show up as an indicator in terms of passing the third grade reading test, but it is a way that the state accepts us showing proficiency. So those are things there. And then progress, we don't really have all of the value-added data for progress right now, but we do know we were 4 stars. We'll see more of that later. Here's the 2-star category. And the best I can tell you is this. Here's what we know about this. This data is based on the 2024 high school graduates. So not last year, but 2 years ago. Okay? We did not know how we were going to be evaluated on this component of the report card until 2024. So we were unable to put things in place for the 2024 school year or graduate year that would qualify us and get us to meet this indicator until we knew what we were actually, the scoreboard was going to be. So you check a box, and all we need to do is get a kid to check one of those boxes, one of those bullet points. They can check all of them if they want. We just need them to check one to show that they're college, career, workforce, and military ready. So if a student is takes an ACT or an SAT and is remediation free, which means by the College Board, they say they don't have to take remedial classes. Only 29.9% of our students do that. That's pretty close to the national average, right? It's a pretty low, it's a pretty close to the national average. But I would argue if you are remediation free on the ACT or SAT, you probably have the honors diploma. You probably have taken 3 or more AP tests and scored at 3+ or more because you're good at taking tests and you've taken high-level courses. And so those first 3 things up there, there's a lot of overlap on that Venn diagram, right? The kids that fall outside of that 29.9% are the students that needed a state license or a credential. They go to the Career Center and they take a program, and if I get my welding certification, I'm workforce ready, I check the box. If I pass my cosmetology certification, I'm workforce ready, I check the box. So we have to figure out how ways to increase that, making sure that they have programs and we pass those. We have a low military enlistment number. We don't have any apprenticeship programs. It's hard, you have to be 18 and older. We do have some pre-apprenticeship things that are starting now, but we didn't have that then. And so what we did, once we figured out exactly what we had to do, we went out and we purchased a program, we trained some teachers, we're tracking this for every single student. And so the thing that will, next year, the 2025 graduates, almost every single one of them will check one of these boxes. And based off of what we know, because the graduates are already gone, we've checked the boxes, that will be a 5-star for us going forward. Because we put things in place that they are getting 12-point credentials as soon as we realize they're not going to check one of the 3 boxes. And it's non-negotiable. We call the family, we call the kid in and say, listen, here are one of these check boxes. You don't meet any of these 3 that are purely academic. So we have a program for your kid. You can do it on their own time. We monitor it, we work with them, and we're getting them across the finish line. So going back 2 years, we didn't know that. I'm not happy with a 2-star. Nobody will be. Again, the majority of people in Warren County, were 2s and 3s. Now that we know this, I feel very confident that next year that's going to be a 5-star rating for us.
But I think, correct me if I'm wrong, those zeros, they probably are a lot of missed check boxes because the career experience is picking up some of that, right?
Yes, but they have to have a specific pre-apprenticeship program that has to be approved by the state of Ohio. And 2 years ago, we didn't have the pre-apprenticeship program. So they're going out and doing things, but we weren't getting credit for some of those things in terms of checking this box.
But to my point, the activities are already there. It's the classification of those activities.
In some of those places, yes. If they're a kid who's chosen a specialty, like I know I want to be in education, and I'm getting all of these hours in terms of education and shadowing and things like that, then yes, that kid can check the box for a
And it
pre-apprenticeship.
sure seems like graduation in 2024, more than 8 kids stood up that they had enlisted in the military.
Yeah, I don't know. Right?
It
But,
sure seemed that way.
but that's where, this is the data that was reported. Could be that we didn't report things because we didn't have a way of tracking all that stuff too. But now we have a way of tracking it. Now we have a way of getting kids across the finish line. I recognize, listen, people care about the report card, right? I recognize the 2 out of 5 stars is going to be a big question for us. So we're going to try to communicate this as best as possible. But the best thing I can tell you is it's 2-year-old data, and we didn't know how we were going to be evaluated at the time. Now that we do, we made the course corrections last year, and we got the kids across the finish line. So nothing we can do about 2 years ago. So that's kind of the highlights. We are offering advanced placement. We are having students performing better on the advanced placement in the last 2 years in terms of earning 3s, but we have fewer kids taking advanced placement. So the passage rate is higher, but our number of kids getting 3s or higher is not necessarily going up.
Number of kids taking.
Taking AP and passing the test with a 3 or
They
higher.
move into CCP when you get guaranteed credit, so why?
Correct. So you'll see that is the biggest issue is students are choosing to take College Credit Plus with guaranteed credit and not having to pass an AP test. So what we have worked to do is find ways that we can offer College Credit Plus on campus. We think, right, we believe that a AP course taught by our instructors on campus, that the rigor of that is higher than a correspondence course taken online through some of the colleges that kids are using CCP for, that are a better preparation for college. It is the option. It is the thing in the state of Ohio, and it's expanded. So one of the ways that we're working with that is to find ways that we can offer College Credit Plus classes in-house with our instructors. So kids, A, don't have to leave campus, B, have a live professor or a live teacher that's licensed through the university. And so these are some of the things that we have expanded at the high school within the last couple of years. So that's the update on academic performance. Anybody have any questions about that?
I have a few questions.
Yeah.
So, the report card is definitely a pride thing. We want the highest number, in the 4s or 5s, for sure. But are the high school counselors helping to check off these criterias, or was it just students that were checking it off, and some of them weren't even checking off
It
some
was
of the
based
boxes?
it was based off the high school. I mean, it would have been based off of what information we had for them in terms of tracking that. I think the biggest issue through the counselors, not students checking those boxes. There's a master schedule, there's a master spreadsheet that is maintained for every graduate in the graduating class, and which of these things that they have that's maintained and updated by administrators and counselors. To Mike's point, it could be that prior to that level of oversight, because we weren't tracking it in the same way, that we maybe missed some kids along the way. I don't know. I don't know the answer to that, but it's possible that could have been the case. It's always been something that our counselors track as a part of their counseling and your graduation points and things that you need for credits for graduation as well.
Okay. And then, so does this mean going into this year, even last year, that as a junior, these students will then meet with the counselor and have a plan for one of those criteria, or?
That is the
an
intention,
other
that's
standpoint?
discussed when they talk about their schedule or they have counseling appointments with their counselor.
Okay.
Yes.
So that's kind of a new thing that
Yes.
is taking place, so we
Yep.
should get a 5.0.
We should.
Okay.
Going back to last year, based off the number of kids we were able to check the box for, as long as the percentages don't change on what gets you a 5-star, we should be 5 stars for next year.
Right.
What about the students at the Career Center? Are they our numbers and theirs, or?
If there's an industry credential, it's in their numbers.
So that's gonna be hard to get that to a higher level, because those kids are going to the Career Center.
They count in both places in terms of, but the ding happens on the Career Center side of it if they don't achieve, yes. So,
So it really is like a change in what education was 2 or 3 years ago in high school to now the governor creating this.
they've told us they want to make
workforce-ready
sure
type
that kids
thing.
are college and career ready.
Yeah.
And they finally put some clarifications on what they think that means.
But didn't really alert us to how
not
to
a-
report it.
That's,
Yeah.
that's not how I understand
That's
it,
kinda
right?
normal.
That's how I understand it,
yeah.
yes.
So,
So,
okay.
okay?
And curious, do military recruiters still come to the school pretty
Yes.
regularly?
Yes.
School, I mean, we all knew the recruiters. I mean, they went to football.
I don't know if they're here as often as they used to be, but they are still regularly, we allow them to come. It's not a,
I mean, they were
Yeah.
always at football games, basketball games. I mean, they knew us all.
Yeah.
They were always great, just great.
yep.
Yeah. I was just curious.
Yep. The other thing, if there's nothing else on student achievement, this goes along with student achievement, but I have a question for you as a board. I would like your input on, and if you feel like you need to think about it and sleep on it tonight, you can do so. But we were looking at the scheduling of community builders and how we have done that. We made a change to the program last year, and we went down and had one fewer session than what we had done previously. The people that run the program ask if we want to continue doing that, or they've actually made the suggestion, what would the board think about honoring students prior to or at the beginning of school board meetings and doing like a building at a time, so it's one less night you have to come? So we could start and take Bowman and do 10, 15 minutes at the beginning of the board meeting, and we honor Bowman students 1 month and then Donovan students, so we always have some students here to recognize. Would the board be okay with that, keeping the same community builder type of thing, but doing it as a part of the board meeting as opposed to a separate night? What are
that'd
your
be cool.
thoughts on that?
I think that'd be good. Yeah.
One night, so Bowman would get one night for the whole year?
Probably once a semester. Right now, they have two, they'd have something first semester and something second semester.
And I'm not sure how that's gonna work, because you're not gonna have anything in August or September, so now you've got October, November, December to get.
Yeah, but we could break it down and have, for example, Bowman probably gets its own night because there's three grade levels there, four, if you count preschool. 3 grade levels. High school would have its own night. You could combine some of those other nights. We could look at it and come up with a schedule. It doesn't need to be, we were not last year doing K-6 together and then 7-12 together. It was getting to the point in time where, even at that number of students, it was 30 to 40 minutes with how it was running last year. I wouldn't want it to be too long, but I think it could be, the thought, and I thought it was worth bringing to you, would be it was a way to have students be honored, and it could even be at the beginning of the meeting. And a lot of school districts have students recognized at every board meeting. That's just part of what the culture is. If you want to keep it on a standalone night, then we will do that. This was an option thought it might be a good thing to do for kids to come into this setting and celebrate them. Also would get one less night or two in the semester that you guys have another event to attend on that, so.
And we could do community builders. We could do one in like September, right? I mean, kids have been in school for a month. We had to.
It wouldn't be, yeah, obviously we missed it this month, but yeah,
I mean, for next year, I mean, we could do October, November, December, January. I mean, that's what, like, we could do 7 or 8 months. I think it'd be cool myself, but.
If anybody has, it's obviously not a motion or a thing that we have to vote on. If anybody has any strong feelings either way about it, let me know. I can come up with a draft schedule and see based on what how many kids we've recognized, kind of what that would look like. I'll send it to you guys tomorrow, and you can provide some feedback on it if that works for everybody. Would that work?
Sounds good. I like the idea. Anything to get parents and students here and interaction with them is always good.
Okay, I'll send something tomorrow.
We just can't let them leave after they get their award. We have to make them stay the
For
whole.
the
I'm not-
financial part.
They don't need to hear me talk any longer than I
No,
already have,
they're
so I'm
gonna-
done. I
they're gonna-
apologize.
They're gonna hear the 5-year forecast.
I try really
Be very
hard
excited about
to
it.
not do this every month, but I feel like report card month is the month that it takes a while to talk about. So thank you for your time. There we go.
All right, moving on to D, Board Committee Reports, and we will start with you, Ms. Dalton. Student
Okay.
Achievement.
All right.
Hold on a second.
Do you have a little, I only have 4 slides, so it's not.
Yeah, I've
not
got it.
too
I
much.
just need
It's
to,
A little straightforward, but there's some good
Find
pictures
it.
on there. Okay. Okay,
okay.
there you go. September, okay, starting off with the 9/11 Memorial, which is always a really, really big event here in Warren County with so many of our, firemen and police and public workers that come out. And we have students that perform from Bowman and the high school at that event. And so that was a very, very touching ceremony that took place on 9/11 last week. And this is important because this is number 2 on, when we did the survey results of the community parents and students, number 2 was a mental wellness of our students. So this event takes place every Wednesday. It's Wear Wellness Wednesdays. But September 10th was World Suicide Prevention Day. And we have a few things in place that go on year-round. We have the Hope Squad here in the high school. And there also is an organization, along with Children's Hospital, that is called 1 in 5. And it's for students and parents. And the main thing is that we want parents to be involved and aware of all this is going on, receive the same education that their students are getting, and the ability to talk with students about these things, because the more discussions and awareness that goes out there, it's proven that our students are happier and more mentally healthy. So the 12 things that they work on, and there's one thing every month, which is self-care, resiliency, generosity, awareness, physical health, emotions, mindset prevention, support, gratitude, and community. And I think these things run throughout our schools year-round and not just once a month, because I really can see that our staff, fellow students, and teachers really, really care and are aware of all these things going on. So
Yeah.
I think that we are doing all that we can, and we'll continue to do that.
So one of the things we're going to do on Wednesdays is just share information on our district Facebook page that comes from 1 in 5, some opportunities for people to look on and click on for more information. Another thing is to change this year, the 988 was a state law required that we have to make the hotline and information available anywhere that students have accounts and log in. So when they go to their homepage, they go to those things, we're required to make sure that there's a notice about 988 suicide hotline there, and all accounts that our students have. And so, we're working to just make sure these reduce the stigma and about it. So thanks for talking about that.
Sure. The next was a great event that took place 2 weeks ago, and it was our homecoming. And it just shows the combination of the community and the schools and how closely we are connected, because downtown is just a few miles away. But the high school band was very involved in the parade. The J-ROTC was involved there in the parade. And we honored the class of 1975, who were the champions of that football season. And we commemorated Coach Vandegrift, which was just a touching part of that night. Even the announcer was breaking up. It was just so emotional for so many people. And the students have, the sign Vandy in the background. So we really, owe a lot to him and how he kind of brought this football program to where it is. And the game was a total success. And you could just see the potential that our students have on the field. So, all in all, great.
Mr.
event.
McCutcheon, that tree's a little crooked that you planted
I'm
there. I just
fixing
want
it.
to point that
No,
out.
I'm staking it next week.
Okay, I just want, somebody brought it up, whose last name's Vandegrift, so I just want to make sure you.
Yeah, he mentioned it as well. Glad he was there.
And last but not least, this is nice to see because I know we work really hard at the high school, is that we were ranked as the best high schools in the U.S. News and World Report. So it's great to get recognized for that achievement.
That it?
That's it.
Yeah, the homecoming parade was amazing. I mean, it was packed
I know,
downtown.
it was so good.
Packed.
Yes.
It's just so great that the community supports the school. Mr. Gliotti, CAT committee.
Yep. Our meeting for November has been canceled because the majority of us will be attending a conference in Columbus, and we will get back with the board about our next scheduled meeting.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Cope, a legislative update?
There is nothing at this time. They are just in committee, and there's been no sessions.
Excellent. And Mr. Lane, how about an update from the Warren County Career Center?
Also, no update. Our meeting for this month hasn't happened yet.
Okay, all right. So, all right, well, we will just move on to section 6. I'm going to need a motion to approve the minutes from our August 18th regular meeting, please.
So moved.
Second.
Any questions, comments, or corrections on the agenda from last month? Hearing none, Ms. Irvin, the roll, please.
Mrs. Dalton?
Yes.
Mrs. Cope?
Yes.
Mr. McCutcheon?
Yes.
Mr. Gliotti?
Yes.
Mr. Lane?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Section 7, financial consent items. I'm going to need a motion to discuss the financial consent items A through H. A through H, please.
Second.
Ms. Irvin, you have the floor.
Okay. Well, as we usually start out, the first couple of slides is just a recap of what our forecast looks like. So the most recent version we have is May, and I'm going to talk a little bit more later in the slide deck about the changes at the state level on the forecast and how that's kind of impacting us. But just in light of our current month financials, so we're looking at the end of August as our most current data. So for May, still we're looking at a 28 fiscal year of needing new money if all things stay the same, which we know they never do. But that green bar is where we were at. Of course, 2025 has ended, so we now know what those are. So in my next update, we'll factor in the actual data, we'll push it out a year, and you'll see another full year, a very different forecast in this next update.
Mrs. Irvin, is it still going to be 5 years, or is there a change to make it go to 3?
So it's a funny story.
Sorry.
One of the provisions with the state budget bill, they eliminated the 5th year. It is now going to be technically a 4-year, but only 3 of those years are financial projections. The first year is our appropriations. So every month we bring to you our appropriations and our revenues that we anticipate. The state wants us to put those in for the first year, our current year, 3 years of projections. So it's no longer called the 5-year forecast, and it's not called a 3-year forecast. We are now calling it the financial forecast. So retrain your brains. We're going to try to start calling it a financial forecast.
Sorry to put you on the spot. I just
You're
didn't
good.
know what was
You're good.
happening.
And you can go ahead and skip this. This is basically the same story, right? 2028. So we're all of 2 months in. I think I sent you the wrong slide again. Give me just a second, please. I apologize. Okay, sending that. Okay, so while he's getting that, currently we're 2 months in. We're at 142 days of operating cash.
So I always say it at the beginning of the school year, we're getting that influx of property tax funding because we only get that twice a year and you get that 4 months, basically 4 months out of the year. So we're 2 months in, we're sitting at 142 days of operating cash. Our target is 120. So we also calculate at the end of this fiscal year, what do we think we're gonna have? We think we're gonna land at 112. And I've said it several times, but we anticipate spending more than we're receiving. We started that last year. We anticipate that trend will continue over the next few years. I am very curious to see how the changes in property tax and state legislation and even federal legislation are going to impact those numbers. But right now, we're doing exactly what we expected. And you can see these trends. The gray bar across the years is not what we've actually got. Obviously, June 2026 hasn't happened yet. It's just assuming nothing else changes. Okay, so don't let that confuse you. But you see the trends are very similar year by year. We get property tax in January, February, and in the last couple of months, August, September. Okay, of those, so we're looking at 2 months out of the 12. So we target around 17%. It's just 2 divided by 12. Revenues, we're looking at, we've received about 30%. Again, because we have that influx of property tax. The variance here being about 5%. And I put this in here as a comparison in my notes. A comparison to last month, we were sitting at about a 25% variance. The reason that shifted so greatly is the only way I project when we're going to get these property tax is to compare it to the prior year. And people pay when they pay. So we can't always project when we're going to get that money. What's going to be important is that once this first half of the payments are in, how did that stack up to what we thought? It's still a pretty rough guesstimate because it's based, again, on what people pay and how they pay. Sometimes folks pay the whole year in one fell swoop. Sometimes they pay it twice a year. So it still fluctuates, but that variance changes substantially based on the month. Expenditure-wise, we're looking at 16%, and this is, for the time I've been here, pretty much our trend. We're slightly under that target, which is great. Variance looking about 7%. Last month, it was about 9%. So it's getting closer as well. We're ramping up the start of the school year. Expenses are very driven on our student need. And so you'll see that start to taper. If it doesn't, this upcoming forecast is when I start to evaluate, do we need to fix this number? So in your documents, your monthly report, I put in there the description. It's time of year, but I'm keeping an eye on it. Okay. So each year I try to provide you all with a schedule for our budget. We just started the brand new year, and I have to talk about next year's budget already. So this is kind of our plan as a district, how we approach our budget cycle. At this point in the year, August through October is really when our administrators come together, our staff come together, and start planning for the new year. It seems so far out, but if we don't start it now, we aren't able to capture what we need to capture. So we start planning at this time of year. We talk about things like enrollment and report cards and staffing, those kind of things to know how to invest in the future year. From that, last year, I left these as 2 separate boxes because I think it's really important for all of our folks to know. Our financial forecast, our 5-year forecast, was due in November. So we were able to take our planning, wrap it up into the 5-year forecast, which gave me a lot of data behind that forecast. The legislature has now moved that back to August. Well, planning hasn't occurred. We don't even have school started until late August. And so I'm going to be driving a little blind here. The other thing that happens, and the reason I couldn't get it on the September board meeting for this year, so this year the state gave us a little bit of leeway. They said instead of November 30th, you can file October 15th. Next year it'll move back to August. I didn't even have the data I needed from the county. They didn't have second property tax settlements, which tell us how much property tax we've received. So the other thing that we're doing tonight, you all are approving a permanent appropriation, a permanent budget. I won't have that next year either. So we're looking at August. I don't have any planning done. We don't have any planning done. We don't have the information from the county, and we don't have permanent appropriations. And if you remember the question Mr. Sievers asked earlier is how many years? That first year of data is literally our appropriations. So what I'm trying to tell you is this forecast, as it's been changed to, is going to be significantly less close to reality than what it is now, right? I'm losing a lot of data points just simply from timing. I will tell you my professional organization, OASBO, is going back to the legislature, trying to figure out why they moved the dates like they did, to see if they can at least push it to the end of September when we have permanent appropriations, because that's coded in law when we have to do that. These dates are also coded in law. So we're trying to align it a little bit. There's not a whole lot of hope coming from my organization that will change. So I say that to you to say, if you are talking to legislatures, ask the questions. Don't just assume that it's happening for a good reason. And you'll see as we keep going, it's happening the same way for the second forecast as well. So now we have a financial forecast due in August. This year it's October. And then December, I start my revenue projection. So we've had our planning. We have created a forecast where we think we're going to land for the next 5 years. Now it's shortened, so it'll be a year less. Side note, I've always said that 5th year is as good as the paper it's printed on. So I'm not super concerned that that's going away. I think there is some cause for concern, though, if you're not looking at that year and you have a large deficit, well, suddenly you don't see that because you're not looking at it, right? So there's some potential consequence to that.
But
Okay.
we could still look at it and just not
Yes.
submit it.
Yes. And that a lot of districts are going that route. We're going to keep it the same, but what we submit is what they want.
I feel like the changes that were made were intended to provide greater transparency of fiscal things in districts without fully understanding all of the other statutory deadlines. So it's going to make that document even less reliable when they were trying to make it more reliable.
Yeah.
So that's a conversation we need to continue to have with our Representative Matthews and Senator Wilson and see if there's anything that can happen there, so.
And the other thing we could do is I can do revisions at any point, but that adds the work, right? And that adds the number of times you have to listen to the forecast presentation.
Do you think that we just back up this planning process, so instead of the August or October planning section, we move that to like the June to August timeframe or something like that? So we're just kind of, if they're moving up the schedule of when the final report is due, do we just move our schedule?
We can do some of that, but a lot of staffing doesn't shake out until the summer. So we don't even know with teachers returning.
Okay, so it's like, it involves new hires and things.
Yeah.
Okay, so that gets more complicated. It's not just kind of like, what does your department need for next year? It's
everything.
the staffing, which is
Yeah,
80%
for
of
example,
the
we're
budget.
off-site tomorrow as an administrative team in central office to do that planning discussion initially in terms of what needs are we seeing across the district, whether it's special education numbers, whether it's enrollment numbers, things like that. I mean, making a decision about next school year before this school year even started, I mean, we're still trying to hire people in June and July, to start
Okay.
this year. So I think it'd be challenging. We obviously will switch if the switch and the change happens that way, but the bigger issue, I think, from listening to Karen said, is she's not going to have the information that allows her to even make this from the county at the time that it's required to be done.
Correct.
So.
And then it'll be a whole lot less accurate.
Whole lot less accurate.
That's my concern.
Yeah, yeah. So in December, I come together with the team and say, what revenues do we think? What kind of enrollment numbers are we looking at? What kind of grants do you think you might get? Is there extra funding, extra projects you might have? And we try to build out the revenue projection. That feeds into January, which is when the board approves the tax budget. And we use the tax budget as, here's what our revenues are going to be, and then we can dictate, okay, of the revenue, how much can we spend? So we start with that revenue piece to really try to hone in on our forecast assumes these things. Is that an accurate assumption based on the revenues we're going to get? So we do that tax budget in January, and then February to March, we start building the new operational budget. So these are all the building budgets, our capital projects, what can we afford to do with the money that we have. That all happens February, March. Again, I left the box here. Initially, the 5-year forecast was due in May. I had 10 or 11 months of the year built, already done. I already knew those figures. I only needed to project out to June. We've backed this up to February. I clearly don't have nearly the data I had. So again, we're making it a lot less accurate. It does shift the property tax, but I don't think it's in a good way. I haven't been there, I haven't lived it yet, but that's the time we're getting money. So again, I'm losing a settlement sheet that I used to have, right? So the timing isn't great for our budget cycle. Again, I would recommend, if you talk to legislators, at least ask them why. That's one of the biggest questions coming out of my professional organization, in fact, is what drove these changes? There's a lot of opinions out there, but. Okay, so now that's due February, and for this year, there's no free months. Like for this first one, I have an extra month. February is due in February, so it's going to be a very short time frame this year. And then following into April, we finalize our 10-year capital improvement plan, and all of our teachers who do student activities, those budgets are built. That all comes to you all for approval, and then May, June is when we have formalized our plan, and it's done. The annual budget is done. So we're still working on the same general calendar we've worked it in years past. The big differences is that financial forecast, when those are due. And I'll continue to update you as I have issues, especially the CAT committee, because I think there are going to be times where this data just doesn't work for us, and we might have to do an adjustment. Whether I submit it to the state is something else, but maybe it's just a board discussion, a CAT committee discussion. So that's the budget calendar, significantly different with the forecasts, but hopefully for 27, it'll be pretty accurate. Now, if the state does come back, there is the ability for them to still fix it, is what my organization has said. So I will come back to you with a different one, but I just wanted to get this in front of you so you could see what we're doing for next year. That should be it.
No questions?
No.
No, she's busy right now. Can I take a message?
It used to be on mute. I don't know.
Yeah, it used to be. And one of the reasons, or the reason we're getting together in early October is to approve that.
Yes.
And before you ask Caitlin, yes, you can come to that meeting. Moving on, B is a list of monthly reports, which are in your board packet. C is the permanent appropriations. D is a list of amended certificate of estimated resources. E is a fund transfer from Title 2A to Title I. F is a list of donations, and thank all of you very, very much for your donations. The band parents, they did a really cool trailer. G is approve the updated CAC committee mission statement, and I don't know, Mr. Gliotti, if you have anything to add to that?
Sure do. Just a couple of changes there. We just formalized that the minimum membership will be 7 persons on the committee. And we also, and we discussed this briefly at the last meeting, wanted to formalize that the members will be reappointed by the board every 2 years. Anything else, Mrs. Irvin?
We need volunteers.
Yep.
And yes, we are looking for volunteers.
A couple more people.
Yep, thank you.
H is to approve the creation of new funds, and I don't know if Mrs. Irvin, did you
Yeah,
want to
so
touch on that?
I can speak to all of these first, 1, 2, 3, 4 are all grants that we've received, various grants. So thank you to the grantors and those who applied. And then the last one is just the new class coming in. Each class gets their own fund to track all of their fundraising for things like homecoming and senior class gifts and those kind of things.
Any questions? Section 7A through H. Questions, comments, concerns? Hearing none, Ms. Irvin, please roll.
Mrs. Cope?
Yes.
Mr. Lane?
Yes.
Mr. McCutcheon?
Yes.
Mr. Gliotti?
Yes.
Mrs. Dalton?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Section 8 is a public records request, and the board does acknowledge the receipt of the public records request as presented by the treasurer that is included in your board packet. Section 9, may I have a motion to approve the educational consent items A and B, please? A and B.
So moved.
Second.
All right, A is to approve the Lebanon City Schools Integrated Multi-Tiered System of Support. Kind of like the triangles we just saw earlier. Questions about that?
I don't have a question, but I would say that Emily Williams, who is doing that role for us, has been an amazing addition to our school district in terms of the conversations that she is having regularly with administrators and teachers in our district about student achievement and looking at students individually and meeting their individual needs. I have zero doubt that the improvement we've seen on our report card and in student achievement has a large part to do with that process being implemented in the last several years in terms of regular data discussions, driving instruction, which is how it's supposed to be. I'm just really thankful for her leadership in that department, but also that we were able to make that significant change as a district 2 years ago. So,
And then B is 5 overnight extended student trips. One's the high school bridges, 2 girls wrestling tournaments, boys wrestling tournament, and the high school marching band going to Disney World. Questions, comments, concerns? Hearing none, Ms. Irvin?
Mr. McCutcheon?
Yes.
Mr. Gliotti?
Yes.
Mr. Lane?
Yes.
Mrs. Dalton?
Yes.
Mrs. Cope?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Section 10, I'm looking for a motion to approve the personnel consent items A through Q, please. A through Q.
So moved.
Second.
Okay. There's quite a bit here, and I will go through each one. A is a list of resignations. B1 is a list of new hires pending BCI, FBI checks. And B2 is a rescind of employment contract. C is substitute employment. Number 1, classified subs. Number 2 is substitute trainee bus drivers. 3 is permanent building subs. D is a list of supplementals pending FBI, BCI background checks. The first list is at the high school. The second list on the next page is at the junior high. E is a board resolution for the employment of non-licensed coaches. F is supplemental volunteer coaches pending BCI, FBI background checks. G is change of status. H is a pretty sizable list of volunteers pending their FBI and BCI background checks. I is a leave of absence and unpaid days. I-1 is a leave of absence. I-2 is the approval of additional unpaid leave days, which was in your packet. J is a new tutor pending background check. K is a list of stipends.
What is LPDC?
The Professional Development Committee, so it has to do with licensure. It's a requirement in the state of Ohio that you have an LPDC committee, well, the C is committee, but an LPDC committee that reviews teachers' professional development and gives them credit for license renewal. And that is the rate that's addressed in the employment contract.
Can we spell it out in case anybody in the public looks at that and has the same question, what is LPDC?
I will make a note to have that with HR in my office in the future.
For what it's worth, it's the Local Professional Development Committee.
L is 2 new game workers, not new, but new right now. M has 2 parts. M1 is Lebanon Mentors, and M2 is the Ohio Residential Educator Mentor Mentee list. And Ohio Resident Educator Program Coordinator.
So again, resident educator is the way that they go from a provisional license in the state of Ohio to a permanent license. And so you have to go through the resident educator program, which requires assigning them mentors or advisors through the process. And they're compensated for mentoring the new employee during that time.
O is a long-term substitute teacher. P is the Saturday school monitors. Q is a couple extended hours. Any more questions? I have to flip all the way back. For our section 10, items A through Q, A through Q, any? Ms. Irvin?
Mr. Gliotti?
Yes.
Mrs. Cope?
Yes.
Mr. McCutcheon?
Yes.
Mrs. Dalton?
Yes.
Mr. Lane?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Section 11, we will now consider other business. And may I have a motion to approve section 11, item A?
So moved.
Second?
Okay, it's this to approve the agreement with Prodigy Building Solutions for the replacement of the original flat roof at Lebanon High School.
So Prodigy Building Solutions is the group that did the second portion of the metal roof at Lebanon High School a year ago. And we have, if you've been in the gymnasium, when it rains or when it snows, it also does so inside the gymnasium. And it has for a long time. So it's in desperate need of replacement. We've been patching it for probably close to 20 years, almost from the time it was opened up. So they'll go in and redo the flat roof. They can begin shortly and will be done before winter months. And then they'll come back after the winter to do some other issues around the building that are related to water penetration in other places. So this will get a new roof down. It will properly seat it in the brick and things. That's been part of the issue, has been pulling away from the brick for a while. And we're in desperate need of this to be done. So I'll let Karen, if she has any questions. I'll let Karen talk about the money side of it. My recommendation is we better do it now or we're going to have more problems, so.
Yeah, so this is part of our 10-year capital plan. We've been planning for this. But it will flow into item C, which is a very official way to say we're going to issue debt, a loan, and we're going to backdate it to cover the roof in addition to some other things. But we're going to cash flow this initially up through December, and then this letter C will allow us to get the debt for a full project. And I'll talk a little bit more when we get to that item itself. But the roof itself was included in the 10-year capital plan, and we're going to cash fund it here at the beginning of this. That helps.
Mr. Severs or Mrs. Irvin, the roof, is it a 10-year warranty, 20-year warranty? What do we, or do we know?
I want to say it's at least 20.
Okay.
The new one.
The new
I
one.
did see that in there.
The new one is at least 20. It's either 20 or 25. Off the
Great.
top of my head, I'm not sure. We chose a higher level quality
20 year
product.
details warranted for 20 years.
Yes.
Outstanding, great.
There are different grades and levels. This is a flat roof EPDM for anybody that knows anything about flat roofs, right? They will address damaged insulation and things when they have it in places as well where there's been water damage. But it was designed with a flat roof, and so there's significant wear and tear in portions of it.
Great,
And
thank
we
you.
have been replacing various portions over the years too.
Patching, tucking back in, things like that. But it's been an issue almost since the moment we moved in, quite honestly. So.
Great, thank you.
Any other questions, Ms. Cope? Ms. Irvin, please roll.
Mrs. Dalton?
Yes.
Mrs. Cope?
Yes.
Mr. McCutcheon?
Yes.
Mr. Gliotti?
Yes.
Mr. Lane?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Okay, section 11 again. Item B, I need a motion to approve or to open up the discussion to change our November board meeting date.
So moved.
October and November.
This just says November.
They printed out a new one.
They printed out another new one.
Well, because when Karen's answer at the end of the day was we had to move the October based off the legal
Yeah.
counsel, it got
Attorney said
revised.
we had to move
That's
it.
what I get for
Being proactive.
being prepared.
Mr. McCutcheon loves change.
Second.
Yeah, I love change. Okay, so I will read that again. To discuss and approve changing the date for the October and November board meeting.
It was my initial.
That's me.
Okay, thank you.
And Jennifer seconded.
Jennifer second. Okay.
Okay, so the reason for October, do you want to talk about October and then I
Yes.
can talk about it in November?
So the financial forecast is obviously due on October 15th this year. I was hoping to get that done to you at this board meeting, but as we mentioned, I was missing two significant pieces of information. So with that being said, our meeting is our regularly scheduled October meeting is after the 15th. It's the Monday after. I reached out to our attorney because it's my understanding we used to have the board approve it after the fact. I reached out just to make sure it was okay, and he said, nah, I don't know what the penalty is, but I think you need to do board approval before you send it to the state. So I will need you to either do a special meeting in October or actually move the October date so that it is prior to the 15th.
When the 20th is the normal date, right?
Mhm.
That's a holiday anyway, right?
No, the Monday prior.
I thought the 20th was
Holiday.
Columbus Day.
It's showing up.
The 13th is Columbus Day.
Do you want to meet the week before on the 6th? Does that give you enough time to get, is that,
I have the pieces I need, so I can move forward now.
okay.
Well, if we have a meeting the 6th,
Oh, I guess
that would be a
that's still-
regular board meeting. That'd only be in a couple weeks.
Yeah, that's right. It's true.
I mean, I can do it whenever, and this, I'm open to anything. I mean, can we do it on the 14th?
Tuesday the 14th.
Are you suggesting we just move the whole board meeting and do a regular meeting on the 14th?
Yeah.
It is a meet the candidates somewhere.
Oh, is that like the one that's at the YMCA or something? That they do like the, you have to answer questions or something?
I'll have to follow up. It is on the calendar.
That was the 15th.
I mean, we can do it on the 13th as
13th.
well, right? I mean, is
Yeah, I
that-
guess we could do the
I mean-
13th.
I mean, do we have to pay staff to be here on the 13th?
No,
Oh, Columbus Day.
no, we're in school on Columbus Day.
Oh, we're here. Okay,
Yeah.
all right, all right.
We're here on the 13th?
We may not be here on the 13th. I don't know. Is that our fall break weekend? I think our fall break weekend is the next one. Our fall break weekend is the 17th through the 20th for students. So the 13th would be fine. School is open. We're in session.
We're in session. Is the 13th good for you, Ms. Irvin? Will that work?
It works for me. Works for
We
me.
also have to then vote to officially not have the 20th
Oh.
date, right? 'Cause
So-
you have to- we already approved that calendar, so you gotta,
Yeah,
Officially
the
canceled.
motion that is on the table right now is to change the dates for October and November. So if you want to suggest dates for both and then do a final approval, or you can do a separate motion to approve October and then have a discussion about November, set that date.
we've
and
already
then-
opened it up as both, so we can
Yeah.
do that one out too.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure that whatever you say is the right way, because at the Career Center, we're having the same problem with, right, October.
Yep.
We officially had to cancel the October meeting and then it wasn't just a move, it was a cancel and special meeting, which would then replace it, but whatever you guys think's okay.
I don't,
Well, we
I don't
only-
think we have
we-
to do
we
that.
only
I think
made a
we're- I think we're
motion.
voting to move, to change it, so I think we're fine.
Yeah, I mean, we just made a motion to discuss changing it. We can
Yeah, you-
agree to change it, and then make a motion to cancel the other ones, and then,
Also true, yeah.
right?
And when's the SBA, that's the 17th?
So the November board meeting issue is that OSBA conference is the Ohio School Boards Association, Sunday the 16th through Tuesday the 18th. I don't know who all is staying up there. My plan, there are sessions in the afternoon, and so coming back for a board meeting and then going back for the conference was the request. If I was the only one planning on staying there, then I could come back, but if there are board members who are attending that, it'd be a lot of extra driving back and forth. So the thought was to move it to a different date if that worked.
Yeah, I'm planning on attending, and that's November the 16th.
17th is the board meeting date.
No, but,
Looking to do the 10th again.
Yeah, can we move
Yeah.
it to the 10th?
The 10th works for me. I don't know if it works for everybody else.
yeah.
So both of those dates, I have other board meetings. So I could come to ours, but it need to be over as, we need to be punctual with our time.
Okay.
So I could get out
Okay.
to attend other
I
board
just
meetings.
you
won't
wanna
give
move it
it,
up
I
a
won't
half-
give an academic performance.
Do you want to move it up a half an hour and just do it at 5:30? Are we able to do that?
Could, if it works for everybody.
It's
That'd be helpful.
both of those, October and November at 5:30.
We will work to publish the new dates and times so everybody knows when the changes happen, but. Okay.
Any other questions? So I guess we are going to vote now on changing our regular board meeting for October and November to October 13th at 5:30 and the November meeting to November 10th at 5:30. And then I'll do another one to cancel the other ones. Is that cool?
Perfect.
Right?
November 11th is Veterans Day. Yep, that's good.
All right. All right, Ms. Irvin?
Mrs. Dalton?
Yes.
Mr. Lane?
Yes.
Mr. Gliotti?
Yes.
Mr. McCutcheon?
Yes.
Mrs. Cope?
Yes.
Motion carried.
So then I am going to need another motion in section 11, item B, to cancel our regularly scheduled school board meeting in October, which was going to be on the 20th at 6 p.m., and our meeting on November the 17th, which was going to be at 6 p.m.
So moved.
Second.
Ms. Irvin, roll, please.
Mrs. Cope?
Yes.
Mr. Gliotti?
Yes.
Mr. McCutcheon?
Yes.
Mr. Lane?
Yes.
Mrs. Dalton?
Yes.
Motion carried.
And again, still in section 11C, I need a motion to approve a declaration of official intent to reimburse capital expenditures with future borrowings, please.
So moved.
Second.
And Ms. Irvin?
Okay, so we are currently looking at several pretty large projects. One of them is the roof. The other projects are energy improvement projects, and Mr. Severs, jump in as you want. The energy projects, some of them are absolutely desperately needed. Some of them are built in to get us some points for grants and/or very low interest loans. So right now, there is what is called an ELF loan available for 0.25 interest. This makes me happy. It's really great. So we are in current talks. We just met last week to really talk about, do we apply for the grant? Do we apply for the ELF loan? And how that works. But at the end of the day, there's a match for both of those programs. And so if we're going to do these projects, even though we're getting really great funding, either through a loan or a grant, we have the local match as well. We don't want to tie up all of our local capital resources to do these projects, even though they are part of the 10-year plan. We just don't want to tie our hands. So we're going to kind of wrap all this together, the roof with those projects that can span 3 years. And because those projects span that length of time, we don't want to issue debt we didn't want you to approve it tonight because we believe the feds are going to reduce rates very soon and a couple of times, which means we're going to get a lower interest rate on the loan we issue for the local match. If that makes sense. So what this resolution does is it allows us to go ahead and say, no, we can move forward on this project. We're going to cash fund the roof, but also when we issue debt, we can go ahead and issue the debt for that project, so it's not tying us up on the other projects. It frees our cash flow for some of the other projects we already had planned for this year as well. Does that make sense?
So we will be eligible for the ELF loan for up to $1 million annually for the next 3 years. We've already been pre-qualified for that loan. We're just waiting. Prior to a decision that was made in August by the state legislature and something in the budget there and something, or whatever, in Columbus, it was possible that you could apply for the grant and the loan. So we were trying to put a package together to get free money out of the grant and the loan at 0.25% and finance some of the rest of it ourselves. As of the middle of August, it's no longer possible to apply for the grant and the loan. So we could apply and could receive a minimum of $250,000 for the grant, all the way up to $2.5 million for the grant, but the state only has $8.5 million to give out to the entire state for the grant. So we are asking the group that we're working with, what happens if we apply for the grant for the full amount? Let's just see if they'll give us the full $2.5 million to do energy conservation work. And they give us a portion of that. Is there a penalty for us to say, no, we know the break even, where it costs us more money in the long run if we finance, the more money we finance. We know where that number is. So if our grant comes in below that number, it would cost us more money, even though we would be turning down free money. So we're waiting on some answers. But the types of things we're talking about here is we have some really outdated control systems that are running our HVAC systems in our buildings that don't allow us to monitor and control temperature controls or lights. So if you drive into our parking lot in some of our buildings, the lights are on in the parking lot all day long. Why? Because that system is broken and it was frozen in time at the day in time at which it broke. Luckily, the lights were on at the day and time at which it broke, right? And so it's stuck and the lights are running. That's a thing we have to get fixed. That's an energy conservation thing because ultimately it will save us energy. In order to get more points in this process, you need to do things that have a very quick and very good ROI, which means that changing from fluorescent to LED in buildings and doing things like that reduces overall energy consumption. You pay for the loan and you pay for the project through energy savings. It's a very common practice in Ohio. It's a system that they have in place. So it would allow us to then do some things. We've got some broken HVAC systems on this end of the building, the old end of the building that didn't get updated down there, down by the gymnasium and some of those academic hallways, where we need to get some of those things done. So our hope is that we can wrap all that up into an energy conservation project and get some of this stuff done. So we should know this week what's the consequence of applying for a grant and then we turn it down because it's not as much money as we were asking for. And that timeline on grant, we would know if we applied within the next couple of weeks, we would know by November-ish timeline. So we would have some pretty quick turnaround here, or we've already qualified for the 0.25% loan, which at $1 million a year, we would spread this out over 3 years. At 0.25% is pretty good. So.
And the reason we brought the roof to you today is we have to do the roof. Whether we get the energy grant loan at all, we have to do the roof.
And there are some
So-
energy savings actually associated with doing a new roof because the insulation work and things like that as well. So it helps in the overall score. So it's still in the project, but we brought this to you now. We're still doing a lot of work behind the scenes. The goal is to try to get things done in the most financially responsible way as possible. So. I don't know, not banking, that's a pretty good interest rate though, isn't it?
Yes.
Any other questions?
No, it's good to hear that you're evaluating it like that, trying to get the grant first and then go for the loan and kind of find the break-even point, so.
And honestly,
That's
props to
smart work.
Mr.
Scott
Butler.
Butler has been phenomenal.
Done so much work on this.
Yeah, that's
So-
good.
He's been phenomenal. It's been his baby and he's worked on it for months. So a lot of credit to Mr. Butler and the business department.
Ms. Irvin, roll, please.
Mr. McCutcheon,
Yes.
Mr. Lane,
Yes.
Mrs. Cope,
Yes.
Mr. Gliotti,
Yes.
Mrs. Dalton,
Yes.
motion carried.
Section 12, board comments. We'll start with Ms. Cope.
I have nothing.
You have nothing. Mr. Gliotti.
Totally enjoyed homecoming, from the parade to the band, color guard, parents, football team. It was a lot of positive energy, which we all could use, and just loved it. Thought the district shined. It was great.
How was the music that night, Mr. Gliotti?
The music, well, the band was great, but the music played over no, it was great. It was great. I loved it. Mr. McCutcheon is the DJ, if you did not know. Yes.
Mrs. Dalton.
Yeah, the music, but we wanted, who did we want? Taylor Swift and.
Well, you
That
asked
didn't
for
come
Taylor.
through.
I played some Tupac for Kim.
Let's be clear that Mrs. Dalton wanted Taylor Swift.
Right,
She wanted
exactly.
Taylor Swift. Nothing to add? None?
No, all good.
Mr. Lang.
Yeah, just more of a question. I mean, we talk about a lot of these legislative changes, or, we don't know why this is happening, right, or dates are changing. Is it appropriate to send out an invitation to Senator Wilson and Representative Matthews to come to a meeting and give us an update themselves?
It would be inappropriate if you want to make that request on behalf of the Board of Education. I think it would be fine to ask them those questions. Or you can ask them if they would like to meet with us in some way. That'd be fine.
Excellent point. The only thing I want to add is the football team is at Little Miami this Friday. And next Friday, September the 26th, is Military Appreciation and Youth Night, Lebanon versus Kings. And with the new bleachers, the dance team, the cheerleaders, the band, the color guard, it was an amazing, amazing homecoming and first game. There's so much going on. I mean, the bleachers are comfortable. The football team looks great. I mean, we can just see every year, you can see what Coach Failer is doing. So I would invite everybody, if you can't make it to Little Miami on the 19th, this Friday, I get it, but Military Appreciation and Youth Night is Friday, September the 26th. Come on out. Come out to the game. I mean, all the kids are doing great. So that's all I had. Section 13, I need a motion to adjourn this meeting.
So moved.
A second?
Ms. Irvin?
Mrs. Dalton?
Yes.
Mr. McCutcheon?
Yes.
Mrs. Coke?
Yes.
Mr. Gliotti?
Yes.
Mr. Lane?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Thank you.